2.
Oh, yeah, Coppola, that's what I'm talking about. Let's start at the night off time.
Yeah, I bought them. Yeah, I bought a 3-pack of them last
Okay.
week.
I didn't really came
To
in 3 packs because normally it's like you can get the 18 ounce, I think, which are like the slightly taller ones. And those come in like an 8 or a 10 pack. But normally with like the real tall boys, I've only seen them as like singles.
Yeah, it was a 3-pack from Food Lion.
Huh.
3-pack,
Uh-huh.
and I bought them for something. I forgot what I was gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Just drink them, I guess. I don't remember what it was. Something else. I bought them for a particular reason,
New Year's maybe?
but maybe no, it was the weekend.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what it was. Either way, I bought them. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get because New Year's I wanted to like, oh, I'm gonna spruce up my diet again.
Okay.
So I bought them to like just on the Sunday before the first like that first Monday of the year. Just
Mm-hmm.
gonna like just eat, drink terribly. You know, I ended up not drinking them, but
Right.
like I'm factoring enough of my calories in to be able to drink one
Okay.
or a big ass one.
I mean, you know what they say about diets, man. You know, you can't restrict yourself too much or you end up crashing hard. So,
Oh, I know
yeah.
firsthand, baby.
Yeah.
You can, like I said last week, we can go on the podcast and see video of me 115 pounds lighter, literally.
You're not that much bigger than you used to be. At least I
Oh,
don't feel like
dude,
you are.
bro, I
I
absolutely
mean, you're
am.
definitely, I mean, and I've gained weight too since we started doing those, but I feel like, you know, you're not
Well,
that much bigger.
I appreciate that, Zach, but I am. Uh, when we started doing the podcast, I was normal like high school college weight,
Yeah.
and then when we started doing the video podcasts, I was like 180 pounds.
That was when you were serious into lifting like every
Well,
day.
super running, like a ton of
Oh, yeah, yeah,
cardio,
yeah, yeah.
cardio. Like,
That was around the time where you were entering the academy, right? Or you were thinking about trying to enter
um,
the academy, I thought.
a little bit after that, I was trying to join the
Okay.
military,
Yeah.
and then once
That's
that,
what it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and once that went out the window, it was like, okay, powerlifting and donuts, and then just
Yeah.
gain all the weight back. But hey, guys, welcome to License View. It's a rainy Friday night here in Charleston.
It was rainy last night. It's not too rainy tonight, but it's still freaking cold over here, man.
New Year's it was super hot here.
I don't remember. I feel like it was still cold on New Year's. It's been cold for like the past like since like Christmas. It's been cold here. I think there was one time where we like got into the 80s like one day, but like this whole week has been like the nights have been like 40 degrees, and then like the days got up to like they're like 60s, like maybe like 70, 71, and then the night sun goes down and it immediately shoots
Yeah,
back down to like 40.
it was super cold for a long time. No, southern cold, and
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden, right at like Christmas, it was
Mm-hmm.
like not cold. Into New Year's, it was not cold for like a full week. It was like warm and rainy.
Mm-hmm.
Good old southern Charleston humid.
There you go.
And then now it's cold again,
Hmm.
and now it's cold and rainy.
Yeah.
But hey, this is License to View. This is a weekly pop culture podcast where two best friends get together to talk about pop culture news. We really haven't hit the news in a hot minute.
Not really. There hasn't really been like, at least from what I've seen. Maybe I'm just like out of the loop a whole lot, but I really haven't seen like too much crazy news.
Hmm. I haven't.
Especially around like Christmas, New Year's, there really wasn't a whole
There,
lot going on.
yeah, dead zone for good um, pop culture stuff.
Yeah, plus
Um,
with COVID and everything else, it's been like kind of
yeah,
slow. Besides people
I
saying that
check.
their movies are delayed.
Yeah, I check once a week now to see if anything is like popping.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the biggest thing I found this past week, off the top of my head, is
Mm-hmm.
that 3D Doritos are back.
I saw that. Yeah, there's
That
that, and then I
yeah.
saw a thing today from CNN. I'd never had it. I'd never ever heard of it before. But there's like an ice cream cake from like the 90s. It was called like it was like Vientello or something like that.
Okay,
It was some like 90s ice cream cake
I don't remember that.
that I think it was Byers. I think it was Byers that does it.
Okay,
they're like, it's coming back, baby. And I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's cool, but like, I don't even know what this is. Like, at least with
Yeah.
three Doritos, I was like, shit, dude, I can get some
But they're
three
not. They're the three
Doritos.
Doritos. They're in a bag. They're not in the canister.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, they're not doing the canisters; they're just doing bags.
Which the
I feel like
canister.
canisters are better though for
That's what made
those.
it. Yeah, because it comes out like in a
But I feel like
cup.
most stuff isn't like in a canister anymore. Like besides Pringles, I really don't think like they used to because they even used to do like a couple of years ago. I remember seeing like they would have like Lay's and stuff would have canisters too. But like I don't even see
Do
those
they?
canisters
Those were
anymore.
Lay's stacks, right?
They were like baked Lay's almost, yeah. Where it was
Like they're
like,
called stacks, weren't they?
yeah, I think so. But it
They
was like they
like
had all the traditional Lay's flavors,
it
but
was
they were like
the
Pringles
blue
basically.
tub, the blue thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I as I approach because we're speeding towards my 28th birthday, which is not old at all, but also old when you're on social media and TikTok and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm older than my girlfriend by a couple years,
Hmm.
and it's not a lot. It's only we're 4 years apart, so it's not that big of a deal.
It's not too
But
bad.
when it comes to like pop culture stuff, it is a big deal. Like
Yeah, it's weird how yeah, there's that little amount of time. There's just such a drastic like shift.
she never had Pepsi Blue,
Yeah.
and it's like to me like Pepsi Blue comes out again in the summer apparently is what they're saying, and that to me is a huge fucking deal. Like I'm so excited for
Yeah.
Pepsi fucking Blue, um, and I think about all the random useless pop culture bullshit, and it's funny because like I think pop culture is dead. Like the whole like the idea of pop culture, I think that's dead.
Oh, I think
Um,
so.
because one, I don't watch TV anymore, so maybe to me it's that like I don't know any commercials. I don't have any. The only commercials I see are on YouTube.
I think the only commercials that are like really relevant anymore, are, yeah, like YouTube commercials and then like Super Bowl ones. But even those have been like steadily declining over the past couple of years.
Well, there's a YouTube channel I subscribe to called Dave's Archives,
Hmm.
and it's a guy who just uploads different tapes. He'll get tapes in from people, or he'll find tapes of like different people, whoever who lives somewhere, like local station from like 1985, recording NBC that night. There's it's whatever show. And he cuts the commercials up and puts them online, and has so many videos of just different commercials for like no every year you can think of, right?
Hmm.
And I watch those all the time, and I watch from like my birth year, or like no when I was like when we were younger, and I see all these commercials that I just remember instantaneously. Like they're such well made commercials that were so good, and I'll just put them on, and my girlfriend and I will watch them, and it'll be like a commercial from like 1999, and like I remember them so vividly because I was alive, like conscious in 1999, but she wasn't really.
Hmm.
Like she was born in '96, so it's like why would
Right.
she remember any of that shit, right?
Yeah.
But I'll play a commercial compilation from like 2002,
Hmm.
and it's like, oh, she has an infantile memory of these commercials, and I'm like, dude,
Right.
that's so ingrained in my mind. Like the Chef Boyardee commercial where the can follows the girl home.
Oh yeah, and it like goes around the whole, yeah, it
Yeah,
follows the
like
home.
that's
I
like
remember that
fucking
one.
like in my mind
That was a good
forever.
commercial.
Like the fact that you even remember that off top of the dome. That's how ingrained it was.
Yeah.
You know.
I watch it so much, watching Cartoon Network, trying to wait
Yeah.
for fucking Ed and Eddie to come back on the air. Jesus.
Exactly. So I feel like now there are just no good commercials, and I say that because I'm ignorant because I don't watch TV anymore. So there could be really good ones that just don't know it.
Yeah.
Um, but at some point we're gonna do an episode about commercials because there's so many good ones.
Dude, you're giving me some serious Demolition Man vibes right now with all this shit. You're when make me think they were about to get like an oldie station that's just commercial jingles.
Oh, dude, Dave's Archives on YouTube. Go watch them. Straight up,
Mm-hmm.
he uploads all the time. It's like once a week or whatever, twice a
Okay.
week, and it's just like, hey, here's commercials from 1983. Here's commercials from 1992. It's like a bunch of random shit. Like
Hmm.
it is awesome, and like it's just
Okay.
commercials. It's not TV shows, just commercials, and it kicks you into your brain into overdrive and be like, oh my gosh, I remember this random ass Nickelodeon commercial
Mm-hmm.
from 1998. I remember that so clearly, like it was yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and then it makes me sad that
Mm-hmm.
there's no time machine. Like I'll never be able to feel that way again.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I
It's
mean?
kind
Like,
of gone.
and that's like, I I think it's my obsession with toys. Is that like it's
Mhm.
all these things that I like and toys from when you're youth to make you feel like you're young again,
Yeah.
and the way you felt when you were a child. Because when you're an adult, all you feel is pain. Zach, what you been up to this week, man?
Oh, pain, lots of pain. No, I don't. It's been a really. It was really kind of a slow week for me. I really didn't do too terribly much. I got my second volume of Chainsaw Man in the mail,
Oh
so I
yeah.
read that. I mean, it's still solid. It's like I remember. Leaves off on a good point. Um, them battling the second real big devil. It's like it controls like a hotel room or something like that. He has them trapped in like that. It's like an infinite loop in this hotel, and he's got them like all trapped and whatnot. And so like I was like, yeah, I remember reading this. I remember. I don't remember what happens with this devil though. So that's like I don't know. It's got to be that point where it's like I don't remember if it. I don't know. Remember if I. It's just been that long since I read it because I feel like it's probably been a year since I read that, or if I don't remember it because it wasn't that great of an ending. I just can't
Right.
remember. But I know that like because I saw the third and fourth volumes are on pre-order on Amazon. And I was like,
Oh, they're they're
nice.
they're that early in the run still, on
Yeah,
physical.
I mean, I think the second volume was just released
Jeez. Okay.
like in December, which is
That's
weird
crazy.
because I guess I don't realize the distribution for manga, but I mean the first arc is already done, and it's like I think it was like probably like 80 to 100 chapters, and like I was like, oh, they're only
Well,
in
I'm
like second
surprised
two.
because they do weekly or whatever translations on the app, so I figured that they
Yeah,
would they would at least commit to it on physical. Maybe they were trying to see how popular it was. I guess
maybe I don't know.
maybe
I
when
mean,
they
I think
maybe
it's
they
probably been
were
one of the more popular manga
yeah.
in Shonen Jump. So
Well, they translate it so they know it's popular. Maybe they were like, you know what? Let's see how it goes. Oh, here's anime coming out. Yeah, we're gonna start putting out the manga now.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I did get its anime announced like I think a week or two ago.
Yeah. So they're
I can't.
probably like, shit, we're gonna preempt and get these manga volumes out. That way, when the anime comes out, we have like 4 or 5 out. That way, people can just
I
buy
mean,
the
they
fuck out of
should,
this.
man. I mean, like, I mean, it's the fact that like, it's the fact that like I know it's already done, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I just want to continue reading it, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Till they get
But
till
I'm
they get
liking
you.
that a lot. I'll probably just get the app. I know I told you this last week, but I'll probably just get.
You should.
The problem is I just got to remember because I mean I just read the volume today because I finally just sat down and I was like I have it. So let me read it real quick like
You
30
should, dude.
45 minute read. But
Um.
it gets pretty far. I didn't remember that. I think it's just because the first chapter in volume 1 is so long. I feel like it's like double or triple.
Oh, you can't even see it because it's too
I
bright.
see My Hero and I
Yeah.
see One Piece.
Yeah. One Piece Volume 1000.
Yeah. I saw that. I saw that on my anime group that everybody was freaking out because they did the giant character popularity poll
Yeah.
on Shonen Jump and it was basically like any character that's ever existed ever can be voted upon plus some ships. And I was like,
I
okay.
I read chapter 1000 even though I'm not caught up to chapter 1000.
Okay.
I'm probably like 80 chapters behind, 50 behind. I'm close enough to where it's easy enough to catch up.
Okay.
So I've read 1000 not knowing what the fuck's going on,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like supremely let down.
Hmm.
Like it was cool, and like but I was like,
But it
this
wasn't
is.
really like this is chapter
I
1000
thought
like
that I was gonna get some big ass reveal, like there's gonna be some big reveals about the
I feel like
story.
he really had his bigger reveal earlier. Maybe it was like last year or something like that. I mean, or maybe it was like 2019 or like early 2020. But I feel like the big stuff for that, which would have felt more like a 1000 like ceremonial thing, was I don't know too much about it, but they had more about like the Goldie Roger like backstory and like him and like
Yeah.
Whitebeard that kind of stuff. And I feel like that was more of like a holy shit,
Well,
like what the fuck type of
people
moment.
are gonna be like, oh, what's there's the whole idea about the Will of D, which is like his name. People have
Yeah.
no, but people have the D in the name. They're gonna explain that. They're gonna explain what One Piece is, and
Hmm.
maybe it's in there. I just missed it, but
Hold
I
on.
read it real
I feel like
quick.
we've talked about this before, but isn't One Piece just treasure? Is it more than treasure?
Oh, no one
I thought it was
knows.
just like everything that he's ever amassed, like
No one
treasure.
knows. No one
All I
knows.
know is he's gonna make Monkey D. Luffy the king of pirates. That's all I know.
Well, in this chapter, he has like a coat,
Oh yeah, I
like
saw
like
that.
one of
I
the
think they did that
coats.
on like the actual cover. Yeah, they actually gave him like a captain coat, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. And so, and on Reddit, people were like, he better be wearing that for the rest of the shit. Like for the rest of the
You
series,
better
he'd
be
be
wearing that from now on.
like that. Better be his like number. Like get rid of the stupid ass. Like he should be wearing that because he's supposed to be like that level of
Yeah,
badass
because
now.
really the only upgrade he got after time skip was he got like a longer shirt, right?
Yeah, it was like
He had
instead of
the
a vest, it
he
was
had
a
like
shirt.
a bigger sash or something like that.
Yeah, it was instead of a vest, it was actual had like sleeves and shit.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, yeah, I wanted like a full ass jacket, dude.
you know, it sucks too in terms of digital manga or
Mm-hmm.
manga re-releasing because I don't read enough manga for it to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like when Shaman King comes out, I want them to re-release physical Shaman Kings.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they ever finished it. Or at least they did. I don't remember. I don't think they did. But Space Brothers only releases. There's no physical release.
Mm-hmm.
It's only through Crunchyroll's manga app, which is
Mm-hmm.
fucking trash. It is terrible. The Crunchyroll website is okay. I have a lot of playback issues
I
with
was
it.
talking about this with my coworker the other day, and I was like Crunchyroll, I've never used their manga stuff, but from like just like from the anime perspective, it's like not terrible. It's way better than Funimation's. Funimation's website is like fucking garbage. Like it's like the worst thing I've ever tried to navigate in my entire life. But Crunchyroll's is like better because at least it's like it's simple and you know exactly like where you're looking for, like what it is. Like it's very simple in that. Like the design overall, the design aspect is like very plain and simple, but at least it's like easy to navigate. Funimations is like I don't even know like where I'm supposed to be looking for like what I'm trying to find.
So, yeah, Crunchyroll's manga app. I think it was made for like. It's like not proportionally to the size of a phone. It's like it's just
Oh.
it's not sized
Huh.
well. It's really terribly made and it's really ugly. And it
Mm-hmm.
makes me so mad that the only way I can read Space Brothers is you can buy it through Comixology, I think,
Mm.
or I can read
Probably
it,
they're like the big one,
or
yeah.
I can read it through Crunchyroll. And they only release it when the volume is released. Like they don't release it.
Hmm.
It's not weekly. It's always going to be behind what's actually been published.
Right.
Or monthly. I think it's monthly,
I
obviously,
didn't know
but
it was still going on.
it's still going on. Yeah.
Damn.
I have no idea. I'm a year behind.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever, however many volumes that is, 2 volumes, I'm behind.
That's probably 2 or 3, yeah.
So it's a monthly manga.
Yeah.
I wish that would be physical release because I would absolutely love to have that. And I keep seeing people on Reddit and the Space Brothers Reddit, which is very dead, and then it spikes into activity every now and then.
Mm.
Where apparently the director's like, yeah, at some convention, the Animazement, I think actually,
Mm-hmm.
apparently said it's going to come back. Who knows? Like the anime is going to come back. Um,
Mm.
because I started watching the anime last week.
Mm-hmm.
Just to I wanted to watch Space Brothers stuff.
Yeah.
Um, well, really, in reality, I was into a lot of space shit like last week. I just didn't talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
I was like just reading a lot of space stuff.
I mean, you talked
Um,
about a little bit. You talked about the right stuff. You talked about Apollo. So
right. So there's like that stuff, and I was
yeah.
listening to a lot of space podcasts to catch up on stuff that I missed the last couple weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I want to read some
Yesterday's
space.
big day, dude. First launch of 2021, man.
Yeah, I
Are you anti-Musk?
no.
Oh, okay.
I'm absolutely pro commercial cruise.
Hell yeah.
I am. I mean, my politics. I'm
Hell yeah.
absolutely without
Privatize everything, baby.
without the commercial flights, we would
Also, yeah, without like SpaceX and Blue Origin and all
we
that shit, we
there
wouldn't even be like going back into space,
the
dude.
idea of going to the moon isn't would even be existing without private space
Yeah,
travel.
Project Artemis would be like fucking dead in the water right
The
now.
no the SLS all that stuff would not be happening if it wasn't for private space
Mm.
exploration.
Yeah.
But also today or yesterday they announced that the plan is to deorbit the ISS
Hmm.
because
I didn't know that.
it costs like so much fucking money and like I guess they're
Yeah.
gonna repair it or do something. I didn't read the full article, but there's the plans to deorbit it. I
Well, I thought what because it's the International Space Station. I didn't think that NASA was like the sole
I think there's the sole backer.
budget behind it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think like a lot of things that the U.S. does, I think that it's the
We foot the
primary
bill for a lot of
foot the
shit that
bill
other
for a lot
people
of
use.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hold on before we continue. I wanna. Google it real fast.
Yeah.
My internet was working. I saw it on Space Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my internet's being bad right now because we're streaming or
You're good.
recording.
But yeah, no, I didn't hear about that. That's pretty crazy.
If I could
Especially
fucking
because it was like, especially with like, all the people that they have up there, and like, I mean, especially for like getting people back in the space, it's much easier to like do a touchstone like the ISS or something like that. I mean, that's what the first two Space Dragon crew missions were to just get people to the ISS, because that's a much easier touchstone to get to than like trying to fly somebody up to the moon or something like that.
yeah, and I would love for them to just hurry up and start working on the next moon flight.
Well, they're working on it right now. It's just taking a long time. I know that Project Artemis is like going off right now with NASA. I can't remember if that's partnered with SpaceX or not, but I know they're working on Project Artemis, which is their thing to the moon. And I think that launch is supposed to happen this year. I think that, or maybe it's 2022. It's either this year or next year. But the trip back to the moon, and then that was the big thing, and then the Chomp Cruise thing, which is just like the first civilian actually going on a space flight since the Challenger. So
Yeah, I just feel like after being so ingrained with like space shit,
hmm
and no one really cares about it as much as like everyone says they like NASA because everyone because
everybody
it's
likes the
cool
idea of
because
NASA, but nobody actually like cares about like the details.
and it's cool and NASA's cool and everyone cares about space stuff and
Yeah.
that's rad when it happens, but not many people are actually watching the fucking YouTube live stream of them doing spacewalks to work on the ISS. Like it gets a lot of views, not enough to be relevant to a fucking to space. Like
Yeah.
you go on it has like 50,000 views. You're like, what the? We're in fucking space. This is
Yeah.
a live stream of them spacewalking, like doing shit in
Well, that was the
space.
thing that I talked about. I think I talked about it back when I watched the Challenger documentary, which was like that was a big reason of like why they kept pushing for like the shuttle missions, and why they kept pushing for like more crazy and outlandish shit with like getting civilians and stuff like that, is because it just got to a point where it was like nobody cared anymore about what they were doing really. Like people cared, but like not as much as like when they first started. And it was like, as far as like getting budgets and stuff like that, it's hard to like justify a budget when it's like the American people don't really seem to like
Yeah.
care about it.
Well,
So
it goes back to the idea of like too, where you even if you watch something like Apollo,
mm-hmm.
where even if it's a movie and they're like, so what's so great about you guys going up? Like
Mm-hmm.
we already saw it happen.
Yeah,
Like what we already saw people go to the moon. Now it's more
so they
like
went to the freaking moon, dude.
can we just go back?
Yeah.
Like can we do it twice? Like can we like in terms of different
On that, most people are
eras?
like, when now most people are just like, where's Mars? We want to go to Mars.
That's so far away.
Yeah, I know.
It's
It's
so
so
far away. Like there's no way Mars is gonna happen until we can have space
Mars
station on
isn't
the
going to
moon.
happen until we can learn if there's a possibility for us to be able to fly ships faster, or if there's a way to do like cryo suspended animation type of thing.
Well,
Because
not
it's just
even
too long to
not
fly.
even that. That's like because that's not gonna happen anytime soon.
No.
To me, like I said, it's the we there's it won't even it's not even a possibility until we can have space station on the moon. Like
Yeah.
which is where Space Brothers is at actually. That have space station on the moon. And until they
Okay.
can build a station on the moon,
hmm
inhabitable for year long time,
Yeah.
there's no way a traverse whatever to Mars is
hmm
possible. Because when you get there, what are you gonna do? Like
Yeah. I don't know.
how do you turn around?
As the once great Matt Damon said, I'm gonna science the shit out of it.
And that classic comedy that was nominated for fucking Golden Globes and shit.
The
Um,
classic comedy.
but just like with Interstellar, speaking of last week,
Yeah.
and like other space things that we in real life, but like
Mhm.
they're gonna have to create some sort of docking system to have an
Yeah.
exterior like engine propulsion Iron Man type thing
hmm
to get to launch up to connect and then fly away. Because there's no way the SLS or any sort of rocket they have now is gonna be able to fucking like travel you to Mars.
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah.
did,
No, it's weird because yeah, it's the because you'd use most of your fuel just getting out of atmosphere because it takes so much force. So yeah, you'd need to have a secondary fuel system or something like that to
And
be able
just
to get you.
being able to keep your fuel cool enough before
Yeah.
it goes away, and like I just it's not possible.
Yeah.
Like the idea that we're gonna see Mars in our lifetime, like I want it to be to be true. I think that we'll
I
get
want it to be
close.
true so bad.
I think that we'll get close. But imagine we watch the launch.
Mhm.
How long does it get to Mars? How many human Earth days?
Uh, I think it takes 3 years to get to Mars. It's
Hey
2 or 3 years.
Siri, how long does it take to get to Mars?
According to universetoday.com, the total journey time from Earth to Mars takes between 150 to 300 days depending.
So
Oh, it's less than a year.
150 to 300 days. So like you
I thought it
launch
was like
up,
2 years.
you won't even know the status of potential. You'll have system readouts being like, yeah, we have this much fuel, we have this much whatever. But
Yeah.
until you land and be able to land and then relaunch, like it's gonna be the first mission is gonna be a fucking like, hey, you land, you're stuck.
Yeah.
There's
For
no
sure.
way you can land and jump back up,
No.
unless we're able to get to the moon and do that like 1,000 times. Like just like it's not even an issue anymore. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we want to go to the moon today? Okay, this is routine moon flight
It's gonna be
1005.
at Estera, dude. There's gonna be a giant like fucking. I don't know if you ever watched that movie, but
I didn't
a
know.
giant like space elevator or whatever that allows us
Yeah,
to go to the moon or something like
it's
that.
fucking
We won't even need rockets at that point. It's just like
yeah.
a staircase or an elevator that you can use.
It's pretty much not the moon, but what was the movie? The Neil Blomkamp movie.
Oh,
Asylum? No,
Elysium.
Elysium, where it has like the space station thing.
Yeah, where Matt Damon's in a mech suit. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that awful movie.
until I can see Gundam where they have space stations like Gundam, I don't care.
They got real Gundams now, man. We got real Gundams out here.
Yeah, walked once.
Hey, it lifted its foot and put its foot down.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big accomplishment.
Well, Zach, what else have you been up to, man?
I mean, really, the only other thing I've been up to, I mean, I'm playing my gotcha games and whatnot, but there's really nothing noteworthy with that. But the big thing is that I did finish season 2 of Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah.
It took most of my time because that middle of that season is such a slog. It's so hard to get through. I mean, it's really like I think it's like episode 10 is like they capture Laura Palmer's killer and you figure out who it is, and then he dies. It's basically the spirit that inhabits him kills him. I'm like, okay, I get it, and I get the reasoning for why it's happening because the studio pushing and whatnot. But then it's like the next like 5 to 6 episodes after that is just like it's lost everything. Like there's no really like overarching story besides the fact that Dale Cooper gets accused of running drugs by a corrupt Mountie because he supposedly got these two guys killed who are the brothers of this big crime lord in Canada. Which sounds exciting, but it's really not. There's really not much that happens with it. And then David Duchovny shows up and he's a woman, which is fun. But then that whole storyline ends, and then the show picks back up again because then you introduce a secondary antagonist and like rival for Dale Cooper, who was like his former mentor in the FBI, and he's like gone crazy and he's like trying to find the Black Lodge. So then you get to that and shit starts picking up again. And then the last episode of the season is so strange because I mean clearly it's like I mean he knew he wasn't going to go back, and nobody knew that they were like going to be going back like 25 years later or whatnot. But the show just ends with like the last 10 minutes. There's all these plot lines that you think are going to end or have some sort of resolution, but clearly they thought there was going to be more. So plenty of them end with like no resolution to what happened. Like there's a bomb that goes off in a building and like one of the main characters in the building. You don't know what the fuck happens with that. Like the very last shot of the scene is that Cooper's possessed by an evil spirit and you see him being possessed, and like that's like the last shot of the show. So it's like it's that kind of thing, but I know there's like more answers to it later on because you get the revival series that came out a couple years ago, and then you've got the Fire Walk with Me,
Yeah.
which I went on a bit of I haven't bought them yet, but I know I'm about to like go on a tear where I started looking up a bunch of Criterion and Arrow Video Blu-rays.
Mm-hmm.
I got a bunch in my Amazon cart, and I know I'm going to buy them. But I did buy the Fire Walk with Me one because it's got Fire Walk with Me, and it's got the missing pieces, deleted scenes that from David Lynch. So I was like, oh, I can watch the movie and watch the deleted scenes and all in one thing. It was like $20 for the Blu-ray, and I was like, yeah, I'll buy that. So I'm supposed to get that tomorrow. So I'll probably have more on the movie and whatnot next week. But I did get one other thing that I haven't really got a chance to dig into because I got it today. But I'm excited to now that I finished the second season because I know this one. A lot of this information is meant to be after its second season in Firewalk with Me, which is I bought the Secret Dossier, the Secret History of Twin Peaks, which is like it doesn't have to do much with David Lynch, but it's mostly with the show's like main writer Mark Frost. Like he wrote this book as like a companion piece to the series. So I guess it's like it is and it isn't canon. I guess it depends on like if you consider it canon even though David Lynch wasn't involved, which I mean I still do because it's still the writer of the show. Like Mark Frost still wrote a lot. I think he probably wrote more than David Lynch did. I feel like David Lynch was more like an ideas guy and the visual mastermind. But I think Mark Frost wrote a lot of it. But I'm excited to dig into that. I know there's a lot of interesting stuff in that. And then I have the final dossier, which I bought as well, which is the lead into the Revival series. It's supposed to get to me in like the end of the month or something like that. I don't know why it's taking so much longer, but
well, what else did you have? You said you got some Arrow and Criterion. What do you have? What
so I had so the other things that I had on my list was I'd had a bunch of things on and then I took a bunch off because I saw that it got to like over $200.
Yeah.
I saw that they had Criterion for Doctor Strangelove, which I wanted to buy.
Mm-hmm.
They had Videodrome, which I kind of wanted to buy.
Mm-hmm.
They had Blue Velvet,
mm-hmm.
which I've always wanted to see because I've heard it's like one of his best, and like the villain in that is like fucking terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
What else was there? There was Arrow did a thing. I saw the cover for it, and the names like struck me so much. I've never heard of it before, but it's called like Versus.
Yeah, Versus, yeah.
And I'd never heard of it before, but I was like reading the synopsis for it, and I was like, this sounds batshit insane, and I want to watch it.
Yeah.
It's like samurais and zombies and
samurai, zombie, demon.
It's like samurai,
immortals.
Zombie, demon. There's like gangsters and like yakuza and stuff like that. And I was like, hell yeah, this sounds like all fucking buttons.
If you want to bypass, obviously, if you want to buy it for sure, like the Arrow release of that, it came out and it's hot fire. Everyone really dig it.
Yeah.
With a pre-order for it at least. I haven't seen it in a long time, but when they dropped the pre-order for that release, I was like, oh, let me go back and watch the final fight again just to make sure. Dude, I don't know for sure if this is if I'm just making this up. I swear the dude who choreographed this movie had to be involved with Devil May Cry because it looks like fucking Devil May Cry. Like,
dude, I'm down for that,
like
dude. I'm down for that 100%.
The final fight scene is a 2-sword fight, and it's like fucking Devil May Cry. Like,
hell yeah.
I'm watching it. I was rewatching it. This not even a month ago. I'm rewatching the final fight. Like, this is the fucking fight between Dante and Nero at the end of Devil May Cry 3, and this is exactly what this fucking fight is. I can't say it's not a bad movie, but it's not a great movie.
Yeah,
it's a good like B movie. Like I would say that it's a good B movie.
Okay, I was down for a good B movie, so I had that in there. I saw that Arrow did American Werewolf in London, so I wanted to buy that. They had Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, which I've always wanted to see because I've heard that movie is pretty good. They had Lace Samurai, which I wanted to buy. I've been wanting to watch that movie forever because I've always seen the cover for it, and it looks so good.
Okay, I've told this story on the podcast probably 7 times about Lace Samurai, which is that when I was in film school, when I was 18 years old, I was in a pre-production class, which was supposed to be like, we're going to talk about how to get budgets and how to get fucking set up fucking tents and all this bullshit, the pre-production bullshit, paperwork, office, phone calls, all kind of stuff. And our teacher was a student, prior student of the program, who was big claim to fame was when she was a student, she worked on The Patriot and The Notebook and all that kind of stuff, which was because that's where it was filmed in Charleston, right? Yeah. So the class ended up being a little bit of that, which for like 2 weeks ran all that through, and then it became every twice a week we're watching movies. That's all it was. We got through all the fucking bullshit, and then it became we're just gonna watch movies,
Okay.
right? So I was going to school like to watch movies, right? And then it was like, okay, every week or 2 weeks we were gonna have to vote on a movie to watch.
Okay.
You know, there's 20 people in the class or whatever, a little small classroom, and it was okay. Every week, now this is 10 years ago now. Every week it was like, okay, who's bringing Quentin Tarantino movie? Who's gonna bring Pulp Fiction? And fucking assholes brought fucking Pulp Fiction.
Fight Club.
Assholes brought Fight Club, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there being like, oh my god, this is the same day. Later in the day, we had post production, which was editing on flatbeds, right? Which
People also brought Pulp Fiction in
well, no,
Fight
no,
Club.
we had to shoot our own stuff, or we had reels given to us of like just some local bullshit stuff, and we had to cut it on traditional non-linear editing. So we had actual flatbeds where we had to roll film and like cut and tape and all that kind of stuff. I failed that class because I hated that bullshit.
Yeah.
So, but in that class, our teacher, who was like 60 years old, who had a long history in like Hollywood or whatever, nothing special, but just working editor,
Yeah.
what I would say. And he was like, "Who here wants to be a writer?" And I was like, "Right, one guy. Who here wants to be an actor?" No one raised their hand, right?
You're not in that class. You want to be an actor.
One guy, one of my friends actually was, and
really?
he's a stage actor right now,
Okay.
like in Atlanta. But he goes, my teacher goes, good, because actors fucking suck. Actors fucking blow. Who here wants to be a director? And everyone else,
everybody raised their
30
hand.
people raised their hand. He goes, none of you will.
Yeah.
He goes, you're going to be electricians and grips and gaffers, and that's okay. Not everyone can be a director, right? So flash back to the other class, where like all these kids are like, David Fincher is the best director in the history of cinema. And the other half of the class is like, no way, he is not. The best director is Quentin Tarantino, and Pulp Fiction is the prime example of why he's the best. And I'm sitting there like, how about both y'all are fucking wrong, right? It's literally anybody else. Like, it's perfectly fine. Any movies are fine. You don't have to be like these fucking hipster ass, the cookie cutter version of a film student is like David Fincher and fucking, Tarantino. So they're
putting. We said like Martin Scorsese.
No one did.
It's so strange.
No one did.
I guess he's not the hipster choice. I guess he's like old establishment, really.
I'll get to that later. Actually, when I get to what I did this week.
Okay.
Sorry, but my point is that like Samurai.
Yeah.
All the guys in my class, and there's a couple girls. It was like 95% dudes.
Right.
And every week we watched Pulp Fiction. We watched Fight Club.
Oh.
And at a certain point, like, okay, we can't just watch Kill Bill next. We can't just watch like this is before.
We can't just keep watching the same.
Yeah, we can't keep watching the same guy's filmography, right? So I'm like, okay. So I was like, I said, hey, let's watch Snatch. Yeah. Right. So we watched Snatch.
Yeah, Richie, man.
Right. So finally, my teacher she goes, well, let's watch something a little out of the box, something different, not something you would see at a fucking
foreign film,
a frat bro, DVD collection. Yeah. So there was a guy in my class, and his name was Carl, and he from day one we were like, this guy is on a different level. Not talent, I didn't see his work, but just in terms of his presence. Okay. Because he came in with a shaved head, like he was balding, where he left the hair on the side of this, but shaved the center.
He left the monk?
He was 20 years old, probably.
Oh my god.
He was born and raised in Mount Pleasant, so okay. People don't know he's a rich kid.
Yeah.
Came in with cut off jean shorts that were halfway up his thighs, and a white Hanes t-shirt that he cut into a V with a Sharpie marker that said "I'm hot" on it.
Oh, this guy's just the coolest guy ever.
And he said, and I'm not joking, he said, let's watch this movie called Les Samurai. It's a French, like, new wave French film, whatever, like 60s or something. You'll see some French editing in it. And he's passionate. He's like trying to pitch it to the class. This is a French movie. It's like a noir. It's like a neo-noir movie. It's about like this assassin character. And everyone in the class collectively, except for me, said, that sounds bullshit. That sounds terrible. And I'm in the back of the class being like,
so this is not too bad.
Sounds kind of cool, you know? So teacher makes us watch it. Everyone's like, ugh, I want to watch fucking Pulp Fiction again. Right? So we watched
Pulp Fiction for the 5th time this week.
Yeah, so we watched the movie. And flash forward like a year and a half later, I'm not a film student anymore, and I'm an animation student now. And I'm about to graduate from animation school. I run across him in the hallway of one of the buildings we share for the film kids and the animation kids. And I go, hey, by the way, dude, I haven't seen you in a while. I want to say that movie, The Samurai, was really awesome. He goes, oh, hey, thanks, man. I think you're the only one who liked it. Because everyone else was so fucking pissed.
Yeah.
So that's my Last Samurai story.
Okay. Yeah, no, I do want to watch it. I've always seen that Criterion cover for it, and it looks so fucking cool. And the synopsis looks dope. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's like that. And then I had like Moonstruck that I wanted to watch because it's got Nick Cage.
Yep.
And then I think the last thing...
That's with Cher, right?
Yeah. And then the last 2 things I saw was... I didn't know that Criterion did this, but I saw that they had a Lone Wolf and the Cub collection.
Yeah, I have it.
But it's like $60, and I was like, ooh, that's a little pricey.
I have it.
I want to get it. It looks. I think you've told me about Lone Wolf and the Cub before, and I was like,
great.
Ooh, I want to watch that.
It's great.
And then the last thing that was really on there was because I love this movie to death, which was Fantastic Mr. Fox, because I love him.
Yeah.
But those were really kind of like on the list of like things to watch for me. But yeah, I mean, that's really the big thing. Was like, I got this, so I'm probably gonna be digging into this in like the next couple of days.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like, because it's really like, it's strange. It's not like the traditional book in the sense that it's like a narrative structure or whatnot. It's really more of like, it's a bunch of like, I would almost call it like what is it? An anthology of like different things that like happen, like just like a bunch of like backstory to like things that have happened in the town and stuff like that. It's all printed in the fact of like it would be like in an FBI file of like what Dale Cooper like investigated in the town and whatnot. And so it's like, there's not like traditional like pages or anything like that. They've all got their different like graphical designs and styles and whatnot. But I'm interested to read more of that.
That's cool.
Those are the main things that I checked out this week. What have you been checking out this week?
But just to add on to the collection, the DVD stuff real quick, the Blu-rays. For Christmas, my girlfriend bought me two Hong Kong things. One was from Eureka, which was the Once Upon a Time in China.
Nice.
This is Eureka, so it's Region B. But it's all the movies, but this is a repack of, they did a prior release of it. It was like super nice, and this is a repack of it for cheaper. Not as nice looking, but I
still think that cover.
It's all right. The other edition was better. Better looking. The other thing she got me that's not here yet, it was a pre-order, comes out in March, is the My Lucky Stars, which is Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yun Biao, bunch of those guys.
Okay.
Like the first 3 movies of that series. I have a bunch of 88 films, a bunch of Eureka, mostly Hong Kong stuff. I sold a bunch of my Criterion stuff. I still have Lone Wolf, and when it came out, dude, I bought.
You had Yojimbo, didn't you?
I had Yojimbo. I had Samurai, all the Japanese shit. So all the Kurosawa stuff. I had the Zatoichi box set. I sold that years ago to the local record store, actually, because I needed some cash money. So I sold all my Criterion stuff to that store, and I regret it now. But and I can find it again, but I don't want to pay the fucking $300.
Yeah.
But the Godzilla thing, I almost bought the Godzilla box set.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that too. Yeah, that I really wanted to get. And then I saw it wasn't Criterion, but I saw Arrow actually had the Gamera set.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, dude, I would actually buy it, because I mean, I enjoyed those movies a lot. So
that sold out, and then they brought it back. Now they're breaking it down into smaller.
I saw that.
Box
I didn't see anything more, but I saw they had the Heisei era, which is the 3 films we watch, and then the latest one that came out in like the early 2000s.
The Showa stuff, and they're breaking it down as well, because the initial release, like 3 months
It was
ago.
all of them, I think. From what I read, it was like all 12 movies or
I
something.
think so. The initial release was big ass box set, sold
Yeah.
out really fast. Um, and like the Godzilla one, I was thought about getting
Mm-hmm.
during the Barnes and Noble sale.
So that, and then you got the Bruce Lee one still, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I wanted to mention about the Blu-ray stuff. But for what I did this week, didn't do too much.
Okay.
Couple things. I watched Father of the Bride, which
That's
is
Steve Martin, right?
Steve Martin
Nice.
comedy, like a family comedy
That's the one
about
where he's
his
in the grocery store and he's yelling about bread.
yes.
He's selling the
Um,
hot dog buns because they only come 6 to a pack, and
yep,
hot dogs are sold at
eight,
what? It's like
eight
8, yeah.
or 12,
It's 8 or 12 or
8 or
something like
12.
that. It's like, yeah, you have to buy like a
Yeah,
number of each to like even it all out, and it's
right.
fucking bullshit.
And about his daughter getting married. She comes home from college, master's
Mhm.
program in Italy, and she comes back and she's like, "Yeah, I'm engaged." And it's about him getting over it.
Yeah.
And I've seen just the first one. I think there's 2 or 3 of them. I've only seen the first one. And I saw it like years ago, like to the
Mhm.
point where it's like a whole new movie. I remembered bits of it, but not enough to be like, "Oh yeah, this I can quote this movie."
Mhm.
And it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. It's really sweet. It's really fun. Uh,
Mhm.
it's not necessarily the most comedic movie, but it's a heartfelt, like,
Mhm.
it's Steve Martin being good at what he fucking does, which is like
He's really good at like, I mean,
being a
he's a funny
dad.
guy, but he's also really good at like touching like the emotions,
Yeah,
especially like with his characters. Yeah.
he's good at being a dad. You see that in this movie and like Cheaper by the
Cheaper by
Dozen,
the dozen, dude. God damn, he's such a
uh,
good in that movie.
or his famous movie with Queen Latifah, Bringing Down the House.
Never watched that.
Yeah, it's not good, but it's fine. So I watched Father of the Bride, and then also my girlfriend and I. I don't know if it's planned by her because Wanda's coming out soon, but we've been doing a rewatch of all the MCU movies
Oh yeah,
in chronological order.
yeah. Okay.
So we had to sludge through Iron Man. Oh my god.
I don't remember. I haven't
Ugh.
watched the first Iron Man in a long time, but I feel like it's not that bad. I mean, Iron Man 2, I feel like would be the bigger slog for me.
Yeah. So Iron Man
Although
one.
that one's a lot more schlocky. You got like
Yeah.
fucking Edward Norton or not? Fuck, what's
Mickey
his name?
Rourke.
No, no, no. Who plays Hammer?
Oh, that's Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell hamming it up, and he's great in that.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
great. Yeah, he's the best part of the movie.
yeah, he's the best part. Yeah.
So we watched Iron Man 1, 2, it's fine. Um, hit Cap, all that kind of stuff. We get to Iron Man 3, and I'm like, this movie
I
sucked.
feel like Thor must be boring. I never watched Thor, but I feel like it's probably one of the more boring ones of like
So
the
we were
originals.
like, I was like, hey, by the way, Iron Man. So we watched Thor 1, it was fine. It's
Yeah.
fine, whatever. I'm like, Iron Man 3 is gonna blow. Because I remember watching it when it came out, being like, this sucks. It's a Shane Black movie, right?
I don't remember it.
We
I
watched
don't
it.
remember hating it. I just hated the Mandarin twist. I
We
hated that.
watched it, and it was the best Iron Man movie. It was
Yeah,
fucking fun. It was so
it's a
fun.
fun movie. I just hate the Mandarin twist so
Yeah.
much. But other than that, I think the movie's great.
It was. I remember watching it.
It's
And
a
being like,
great deconstruction of like Tony Stark like as a
yeah.
character. So
Well, I remember hating it when it came out.
mm.
Thor 2, we fell asleep pretty much halfway through.
that I haven't really watched any of the Thor movies besides Thor 3. So
Yeah, we almost fell asleep. We were on our phones halfway through. But Thor 3,
that's the one with like dark elves and shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
Thor 2 ended, and we were like, what happened? Like,
What
and,
I even watch?
and it's fun because I love Natalie Portman, right? So I'm like, and she's way in that. She's way in that movie, and I'm like,
She
this
is
is.
it? Oh, I thought she was way more in the first one.
She's. I mean, she's a big deal, and more so in this one. She's in both movies a lot, but like, she's like a primary factor in this movie.
Okay.
So we watched that, and if you want to consider, we watched half of it. Get the Cap, like Cap.
Cap 2?
We watched
Yeah.
Cap 2. We fucking love it.
Cap 2 is like still one of my
Yeah.
favorite MCU movies of all time, dude.
So now we have to hit Guardians, and we're like, ugh.
Guardians is fun.
No, so we watched Guardians 1, and it's fine. And
Yeah, Guardians one's a fun movie.
I tell my girlfriend, I was like, Cap 2 or Guardians 2 has no relevance to the rest of the universe.
See, I mean, it doesn't have any really relevance to the rest of the universe, but I still think in the fact of like it being a sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy, I think it's a fine movie. But yes, it doesn't have any overall like structure within the rest of the universe.
The only thing that matters is that they get the alien girl.
Yeah,
That's it. That's really it. So I was like, do you want to watch this or not? And she did not like Guardians of the Galaxy that much. So I was like, let's just
That's
skip it.
surprising.
Let's just skip both of them, or we
Okay.
watched one already. So let's just skip two, and move right into I think Ultron's next. I think.
I thought Guardians 2 was after Ultron.
No, it's Guardians 1. It's Winter Soldier, Guardians 1, Guardians 2, and then Ultron, I think.
Is that really the chronological
Yeah.
order? Fuck. I didn't realize there were so few movies in between Avengers and Avengers 2.
Yeah. Well, there's like 5.
Yeah, I just feel like, yeah, I guess.
4 or 5 of them. And then I think after Ultron, it's Ant-Man, I think. I could be
think
wrong.
so.
I could be wrong. I don't know. But we're coming up.
I know. Yeah, Ant-Man is definitely after Ultron because
Well-
Ant-Man was like the last movie of Phase 2. Really.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's. Well, remember it's chronological. So this is like.
Yeah.
This, no, so they're moving shit around. So I'm pretty sure it's Ultron, and then Civil War, and then Ant-Man. No, because Ant-Man's in Civil War.
No, because Ant-Man's
So it's
in Civil War.
Ultron, Ant-Man, Ant-Man 2. No, Ant-Man.
No, Ant-Man 2 is after Civil War.
Ant-Man, Civil War, Ant-Man 2, Doctor Strange. I don't fucking know. There's a Rotten Tomatoes list that we're following, like an official like Rotten Tomatoes.
So wait, is it? So it's not order that they're released. It's
It's chronological of the
first?
story.
Oh,
Yeah, of the story.
interesting.
Yeah, so we're about I would say about halfway almost because next week WandaVision comes out, and I don't care about it, but she's really hyped for it.
I don't know. I mean, I think we talked about this before. I know I've talked with somebody before, maybe not you, but like, I don't know. Really don't care about any of the Disney. The only Disney Plus show for Marvel that I care about is Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
Because I like those two. I like their dynamic as characters a lot, and I think they have good chemistry as like buddy cop type of thing. And then Loki, because Tom Hiddleston's great.
yeah,
Even though that character's kind of annoying, but he's great as the character. Plus, it looks like it has the attitude of Thor Ragnarok, so that got me interested in the Loki movie. But like, I don't really care about WandaVision. And there's like, I know like She-Hulk's coming out. And I was like, I don't really care about that at all.
yeah. I
The only other thing would be Moon Knight, I guess, but I don't even know when that's supposed to come out.
when I look at the Marvel slate now after Endgame, there's nothing I care about except for Blade.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing movie-wise. I mean, I'm just interested to see Shang-Chi because if it's a martial arts movie, but like,
Sure.
I don't really care about any of the other movies.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch Shang-Chi because it's a martial arts movie.
Yeah.
And it's not even because he's a Chinese guy or Asian representation. Don't give a fuck about that. It's a martial arts movie. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
As long as it's hopefully it's good, a good martial arts.
Yeah, all I really want to see is Blade. Besides that,
And then it's Blade. I don't care about Eternals. I don't
and
care
Blade's
about.
not till like 2025 now.
Yeah, I don't care about Eternals. I don't care about Captain Marvel 2. Oh, we watched Captain Marvel as well. Also, by the way, obviously.
Oh yeah, I guess chronology. Yeah,
That's the first one.
Yeah, that would be the first.
Besides Captain America, then Captain Marvel, I think.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. We're gonna do that after the podcast as well. The last thing I did this week, I was reading a book. I'm about 300 pages before finishing it. It's a pretty long book.
Okay.
It's a nonfiction book called Easy Riders, Raging Bulls. And it's a nonfiction book with a lot of research, a lot of quotes, a lot of interviews with people, maybe probably pulled from other stuff. But it's a nonfiction book about new Hollywood and 70s cinema.
Okay.
And like the whole idea of new Hollywood in the 70s and the late 60s. And it's really, really good. And it starts with in like late 60s with like Bonnie and Clyde and with Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda. Peter Fonda with Easy Rider. And it goes pretty much year by year.
I think it's Henry Fonda.
I think it's Peter. Double check. I'm pretty sure it's Peter.
Maybe it is.
It goes through each year of the decade as these famous movies that changed Hollywood come out. And it's really
Probably is Peter Fonda, yeah.
It's really, really detailed, and it's really well written, and it flows really well for being a book that's about facts. I mean, I love nonfiction stuff, but it's like super duper well written, and you learn a lot. I mean, I fucking learned a ton about Dennis Hopper in this book. primarily he sucked.
The what?
I said I learned a lot about Dennis Hopper in this book, and primarily it's because he sucked dick. Like he is a terrible fucking person. Um, like he fucking like will beat his wife. One of his wives he like broke her nose and all this kind of shit. Like was crazy on set. He was a dickhead.
Wait,
He
isn't
was
he Blue Velvet?
psychosis.
Hold on. I think he's the bad guy in Blue Velvet.
He's a bad guy in Speed.
Yeah, he is the bad guy in Blue Velvet. Yeah, he like huffs oxygen and like he like beats his wife and all that shit.
Based
Yeah.
on a true story, I guess.
Guess so.
But like he like
David Lynch knows his actors.
it goes through about how they're getting the movies financed and who was writing the movies. And it talks about the writers and the screen directors and all this kind of stuff, all the aspects of the movie, of these different movies in Hollywood at the time, and what it was taking to get these movies made, and how they had to fight the studio system because the studio system was dying from the 50s, and they're kind of going all the stuff, and this new Hollywood was being born, and it's really really good. And the early parts of the book are really fascinating, Dennis Hopper stuff, but every time it would hit the people I want to hear about, right? So it's like 1971, Francis Ford Coppola. I'm like, yep, go ahead.
Let's go, baby.
Talks about his started movies, about how he wanted to go and do all this stuff against Hollywood and be artistic and auteur, and how he was filming a movie and he had this young college student who won an award to come watch his filming, and it was a skinny guy with a beard named George Lucas, and like it talks about their friendship, and they have different quotes from Francis and different quotes from George and all these different people that tell the story and give a full view of how Hollywood was at the time.
Okay.
And it's really interesting, right? So my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. Godfather 1972 comes out, and I'm loving the chapters of the book. I'm like, fuck yeah, it's Godfather makes all this fucking money.
Yeah.
Francis Ford Coppola is fucking thinking he's hot shit, and this movie ruins any sort of like this book ruins any sort of like, oh man, these people are humble. No.
Oh, you know, they're like,
No,
yeah,
no,
I'm
no,
like
no,
the
no, no,
hottest
no.
shit that's ever been. Yeah.
They think that they're like Francis Ford Coppola thought he was fucking God.
Yeah.
You know, he made Godfather, becomes a super high selling movie. He thinks he is the shit auteur, autistic. I'm the fucking guy, right? And then flash forward a couple chapters in the book, and it's like 1975.
Mm-hmm.
This nerdy kid from Arizona, Steven Spielberg, right? And then talk about them. They're all friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all called they're all hanging out. They're all film school graduates, so they're all geeks, and they're all hanging out talking about movies and shit. And then Steven Spielberg fucking gets Jaws, and it goes through all the Jaws turmoil about how he's filming Jaws,
Mm-hmm.
and how Scorsese, they're all there, and they all would hang out at the Jaws set, and they saw the shark animatronic, and they fucked it up, and they left. Like, oh, dude, we fucked this shit up. So, and this is the part that I wanted to mention the most because it's a really fascinating book, and if you ever have a chance to read it, Zach, I recommend it to you.
Huh.
But there's a big part of the book, specifically with Steven Spielberg, and 2 years later when Star Wars comes out, where they mentioned that Steven Spielberg always felt like an outsider, right? Because a lot of the other people, George Lucas, Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, all these directors and writers who were in film school or whatever, all loved European cinema, and they all wanted to be artistic people. Um, whereas Steven Spielberg got his break in the industry by working in TV for the studios. So he started working under these studios as a young guy. So he was already part of the system. So he always felt like an outsider, even though he was friends with these guys. So he makes Jaws, and everyone's like, "This ruined the artistic vision of
Oh,
new
because it's a dumb
Hollywood."
blockbuster.
Because it's a blockbuster movie,
Yeah.
and it brings in all this fucking money, right? So flash forward 2 years later, 2 chapters in the book, it's artistic George Lucas, who also grew up watching TV, not film, like Steven Spielberg. He makes Star Wars. All his friends, like friends for Coppola, are like, this fucking stupid. The script blows. Comes out fucking gangbusters.
Yeah.
And he thinks he is the fucking guy. And all his friends are like, this movie ruined This movie ruined film, right? So I'm reading these chapters and I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, could you imagine if like George Lucas did not make Star Wars because he was supposed to make Apocalypse Now,
Yeah.
like, but he wanted to make a happier movie. After he made American Graffiti, people were happy to see a happy movie. Like, if Steven Spielberg and George Lucas didn't do those two movies,
Mm-hmm.
like, could you imagine where we'd be at in like film history?
Without like the blockbuster, yeah, I don't know.
Eventually, it would have came along at some point, but who would have done it? You know?
I don't know. I guess James Cameron maybe.
Yeah, I guess that's years later though.
Yeah, I mean that's like 80s. Yeah.
But it's a fascinating book and it's really well written and I'm really enjoying it. I'm almost done with it and it's interesting to see all these and they see all these quotes from George Lucas and all these people being like, I always thought that he had this master plan to
Mm.
make Star Wars and that's not the fucking case. It
Yeah.
was not the fucking like he had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he when it was premiering, him and his wife who I don't know anything about this stuff, but apparently his wife was an editor, his first wife.
Hmm.
Her name was Marcia something. I can't remember her last name. But she was a film editor and she was really, really good. And while he was filming Star Wars, she was editing Taxi Driver. And she
Yeah.
like chose to go hang with Marty Scorsese because they were all friends. But Marty was like a fun, coke head, and
Yeah.
George was like a fucking nerd, like want to stay at home, be a nerd guy.
Yeah.
So apparently, when Star Wars came out, they're eating hamburgers at a restaurant across from a movie theater, and there's a bunch of people outside, and they're like, "What the fuck are people doing?" And they walk outside, they go, "Oh, it's for Star Wars." And they go to Hawaii for like 3 weeks or whatever, and he gets a phone call that's like, "Yeah, you're rich. Yeah, you're loaded now."
You're rich.
So it's a good book. I'm really enjoying it, and that is all I've done
Okay.
this week. I bought, to wrap it up, I bought a Christmas gift for myself a while ago. Just came in the Retroid Pocket 2,
Oh shit,
which
dude.
is the mobile emulator. I bought it to play whatever, Pokemon or my Metal Gear Solid is what I really want to play.
Ooh,
If it can handle it. But I can't put games on it right now because I don't have a SD adapter. So I have to buy SD card adapter to put stuff on it. So
It
that's
doesn't. It doesn't come with
it has
Or so you have to put games on an SD card.
it has SD card in it. It has a USB cable. You can put it on the internal thing, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. And everyone's like, "Yeah, just buy an adapter. It's easier."
Okay.
So there's that. At some point, I'll talk about it on the podcast whenever I get to play games on it. But that's all I've done so far this week is kind of do those couple things.
Yeah.
Zach,
Yes.
what's next, man?
Next up is our main topic. We
Yes,
started
it's
our
true.
new month this week, which is our underrated / underappreciated sci-fi films. Kind of in that genre, just films of the sci-fi genre that I think we feel like a lot of people probably don't know about or haven't seen. So we started with the Emilio Estevez and Harry Dean Stanton pairing, 1984. I thought it was 1984. I just want to double check. Repo Man. And Jason, you told me you'd seen this movie before.
So
I've never seen this movie before.
I thought I saw it before. I saw what I thought was the remake.
See, that's what I thought too. Because yeah, it sounds like it
But
would
it's
be,
not.
but
It's
it's not.
not.
It's not
It's
a
not.
remake. It's a completely different movie.
Yeah, I saw the remake and I was like, oh, okay, this is a shit movie. What, they remade it and it blows? Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, Zach, I mean, if you want to watch Repo Man, it's fine, but I'll watch the original. I've only seen the remake.
Yeah.
So I booted up and I'm like, this ain't the same movie.
This isn't the same
This
movie.
ain't the same movie. So this is the first time I've seen it.
Okay. But I had a fun time with it. I mean, it's not. It's definitely different than I thought it was going to be. Because being in their genre, I was like, oh, it's going to be like a sci-fi type of thing, and it really is not a sci-fi movie. It has trimmings of sci-fi around it, but it's really not a a science fiction movie in the traditional sense. It's really more of like a character study, and it's clearly like a satire or like a commentary on like American life and like the 80s, specifically around like commercialism and all that stuff. That was what I was thinking the whole time. It was like it almost got to the point where it was like too obvious, where it's like they're going into gas stations or just like buying stuff from the store, and every single product has like that like comically generic like label on it that like is over the top. Like soup says like soup, and like all the beer cans just say like beer. They're all blue and white, and they all have the bold typeface label that says like whatever the product is, and it's just like that weird like hyper commercialism within it, and it's all just like it's also like it's weird that like all the characters are like miserable.
Yeah.
They're all miserable people. Like Emilio Estevez clearly like starts off the movie and like the first 5 minutes, like his girlfriend's cheating on him with like this weird guy that like doesn't make any sense, and also like turns into a pussy in like the 5 minutes before he dies. That shit happened. It was like whatever. It was like they open up the trunk or whatever, and all of a sudden he becomes like a pussy for the next like 5 minutes. I was like, what the fuck is this character? This is like completely antithetical, like how he's been acting the whole time.
So Emilio Estevez plays Otto, who is a punk rocker who
he's
gets,
like
he
not
gets
like a punk rocker. He's like a punk. He's just like a punk.
Well, that's the punk rock music, and he has a quasi punk rock outfit.
It's like the punk rock grunge type of aesthetic. Yeah.
Well, before grunge, so I guess it'd be punky, but he gets cooked at the beginning of the movie.
He also does a weird thing where it's like for some reason he folds his pants, which is like just that weird character thing that is just added where he like
he's just a shitty guy.
Yes,
he's a shit guy.
All the characters in this movie are shitty people.
Yeah, they're all shit people, and he ends up becoming a repo man, a literal repo man for vehicles. And
which, another thing, I thought it was gonna be like it's like a repo man, it's like a play on like whatever they're doing. Yeah. Like, no, they're just literal repo men.
Yeah, and then he at the same time the CIA is looking for this alien in a trunk, and the car is driving around town. So of course that's how it intersects, because they're looking for this car.
Yeah, the guy who runs the car was like a member of like Project Manhattan or something like that, and like he stole alien bodies for whatever reason, and they like make his car hot with like radiation that like makes everybody uncomfortable, and like he's slowly going insane, and he wears sunglasses with only one lens, which is also very weird. So it looks like he has an eye patch.
I like this movie a lot.
I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
But it's absolutely like a student fucking film, like a DIY. Yeah. I know it's a DIY movie after doing some research.
It's like the epitome of like low budget.
But Emilio Estevez acting, man, it's not good.
He's such a good actor, man.
It's not good in this movie.
It's not.
It's good for what it is, but it's not good.
For like a punk, for like being like a punk character who's like an asshole. I mean, he's fine.
Like, it's a.
I mean, really, the only reason I really wanted to watch this was because I knew it had Harry Dean Stanton in it, and I'd been wanting to like watch more stuff with him in it. So.
What has he been in before?
Twin Peaks.
Okay. No, I think his acting is terrible in this. I mean, it fits the B movie genre. Yeah. But you go back and watch like Young Guns, you're like, dude, what the fuck happened? Like, you're so much better in Young Guns than you are in this.
Breakfast Club, or like,
I mean, like so much better.
End all coaches, dude, like the Mighty Ducks, man.
So the movie itself, to me, it's such a non-sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it's very much, it has trimmings of sci-fi, but it's really not a sci-fi movie.
No, it's not. It's like a fucking. It's like I think what I saw when I was doing research on that afterwards, that the director wanted to make it a road movie, but kept it in LA to save money. And it's a road movie in a city. Like, it's just a lot of traveling, a lot of bits back and forth, a lot of in the car shots,
a lot of car exposition. Yeah,
car exposition, a lot of random ass bullshit about like Repo Man lifestyle.
He's got the one weird guy who like takes care of all the repo cars that like. Talks about the weird, crazy conspiracy theories about how, what was it? I can't remember what he said now. He said like so much shit in the span of like 2 minutes, where he's talking about like, people all came from like UFOs and they're like from the future, but they're also from the past. It's like, I was like, fuck, dude, I've listened to the last podcast, and even I don't know what the fuck you're talking about right now. Like, this is way over my head.
When they're burning the clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, first off, pacing of this movie,
It's really slow.
it is such a slow movie. It is
Yeah.
literally like I would say here's how I would divvy the movie up.
Which is weird because it's also 90 minutes, but it feels like it's like a
Yes.
2-hour movie.
I would say the movie is 90% first act, and
Yeah.
then 10% third act. No second act. It's 90%
Yeah, no, it really
first
just
act.
skips to like the third. It's like, yeah, it's all the first act until he finally gets the Chevy Malibu.
Yes.
And then that kicks off the third act, which is like he steals it, and then he's like trying to do Harry Dean Stanton, and Harry Dean Stanton gets shot. That's like all third act stuff, and that's it's like the last like 20 minutes of the movie.
But I mean, other than that, the casting wise, it's a slow burn.
Yeah.
And there aren't really anything like the camera angles are fine, shot selection's fine.
There's nothing entirely like creative about it.
There's nothing going on for it to be super crazy. Like there's some gunshots in it, and they look B movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's special effects in it, like visual effects later at the end of the movie.
Really, the only visual effects is like the evaporation, really, and then there's the irradiated car at the end. But really, besides that, it's very minimal. It's a very minimal movie. There's really not a lot going on with it.
The best part of the movie visually is the scene where the first scene when they're driving into the where they have their first initial like race with the Hispanic guys.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's like the first person camera shot of the car driving into the Terminator 2 area. Like it's that
Which
first
also,
person shot.
It's like the Terminator 2 and like the race from the end of Greece, but it also like that scene starts off and I'm like, why the fuck are you in the middle of this waterway right now? Like as far as like, because it's like I think right before that you have Harry Dean Stanton and he's like trying to teach Emilio Estevez the ropes and he's like, yeah, man, like as a repo man, like you don't get paid. Like fuck that shit. You get paid on commission. And I was like, okay, you get paid on commission, which means you need to be like on the lookout for like cars you need to repo. You're in the middle of like an abandoned waterway. There's not going to be any cars to repo in this waterway. Why the fuck are you here?
And all the random ass advice that he gives Otto. You know, the big thing and when I was watching it, and I honestly didn't even the director's point of having it be the satire or the commentary on like Reaganism or commercialism. To me, all that stuff like really like even though it was so blunt, like the consumerism part, it still felt like he didn't write it effectively because it was kind of like hollow. Like it wasn't good enough like Terminator, or excuse me, it wasn't good enough like RoboCop. Sorry.
Yeah.
And all I kept thinking while watching the movie, while I was enjoying it, and I was like, okay, they're grabbing cans that say beer and cans that say food, and his parents are watching the TV with the religious guy.
That was the most compelling part for me. It was like, oh yeah, that's clearly like a train on like just like the commercial some of like religion and stuff.
It's all happening, and I'm like, okay, I get what he's trying to do, but he's not saying anything with it. Okay.
Yeah, no, he's just really like pointing it out. Yeah, he's not like saying anything else about it besides like, hey.
So there's violence with the punks, and then he's a shitty character. So there's the commentary on that, I guess. But the entire time watching the movie, I'm thinking to myself like, I can just wait 4 years, and John Carpenter will give me a better version of this movie.
Yeah.
And that's called They Live. Like it's a much better version of this movie, obviously with a higher budget, but it's a much better movie. That tells me the same thing.
A little bit more of a compelling character in Roddy Piper.
Even then, no. Like even then, like he's a drifter.
Yeah.
And a former punk rock kid. Like those are to me like the punk rock thing is cooler.
Yeah.
The Repo Man job is cooler than some drifter who's a homeless guy.
Yeah.
But it's the way that they commentate on the Reaganism, commercialism, all that kind of stuff that John Carpenter got and did and made it unique and interesting and whatever. Whereas this movie, and it's unfair because it's a DIY B movie, student film, whatever the fuck it is. But I just didn't understand the point of it. Like, why were you going to show me the beer cans that say beer and the oats that say oats? Like, what was the point? I mean, I get it, but I don't get it at the same time.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I definitely get where you're coming from, where I wish he'd gone a little bit deeper with whatever he was trying to do. It really felt like Like, clearly he was trying to make commentary, but I feel like he didn't go deep enough into whatever he was trying to do.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit disappointing in that aspect of, yeah, I wish he'd kind of like done a little more or tried to give a little bit more of like, it really didn't feel like he had a perspective on it besides like, isn't this very excessive
Yeah.
and stupid, like, especially with like the
what's
religious thing,
like
where
what
it
was the
really just felt
what
like
was
he
the
was like pointing
correlation?
out, like, isn't it stupid that people fall for like televangelists?
Yeah, what was the correlation between all the food that was marketed saying beer and whatever and the CIA and the aliens? What's the correlation
Yeah,
there?
there's really, yeah, there's not a lot of connection with any of that stuff for sure. Yeah,
Because ultimately, if
it's all
the
just like window dressing.
yeah, if the satire or the commentary is that you're marketed to when you're a sheep,
Mm-hmm.
well then why would you work with the government?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand the correlation there. Like when you have the RoboCop satire and commercialism, it's like the violence is so absurd and
Mm-hmm.
the dollar becomes the primary and literally I'll buy that for $1, all this kind of stuff, and the violence
Yeah.
becomes numbed out. Whereas in Repo Man, it's like I don't even care about any of this commercialism, satire, commentary because it's more interested in what's happening to the guy. Like
Yeah.
that stuff's there, but it's like okay, you're not really providing me any level of depth to that commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas They Live has a ton of it. So I'm just going to look at you drink a beer can that says beer,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not gonna care because you're not giving me more of it. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna follow Otto's life as he's Repo Man and see what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you watch They Live, like you're watching the Drifter character, like again, slow burn to discovery that aliens exist and all the kind of stuff and that they live,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the idea that they're marketed to and human beings are sheep and controlled and all the kind of bullshit, and they
Mm-hmm.
go into depth with that. But this movie is kind of like, yeah, maybe,
Yeah. Maybe.
and that's kind of it. And
Yeah.
and that's kind of sad because you could really have tied it all together, and maybe some super smart person has wrote a thesis about it, but like
Yeah.
I didn't get that from watching it one time.
Yeah. I didn't. I didn't. If there was anything that connected it, yeah, from watching it one time, I really didn't get any sort of coherent
Yeah.
thesis about what he was trying to say. So, I mean,
And then
if you
they
got to dig that deep, it's not very.
and then they grease away.
Yeah, that was also weird. That yeah, that well, the last 5 minutes is that the car is just glowing green with radioactivity, just out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and then also it doesn't kill him, and the guy who's been telling him all the strange shit knows how to fly it and turn it into a UFO, and then they all fly away. And then they talk about how the life of Repo Man is always intense. And I was like, I mean, yeah, if you're flying away on a radioactive car, that's pretty intense.
Yeah. I mean it makes no sense.
No, it's a very strange ending. It comes out of like left field, like
Yeah.
I don't know.
There
It feels like it shouldn't, because I mean the whole thing is based around this car that like has aliens in the trunk, but it still
yeah,
just
but
feels
they
like the ending is like it doesn't make a lot of sense, like why it ends the way it does.
but they literally say in the movie like we have to get this aliens before they melt. So like it's like
Yeah.
well the way wasn't that melting? Like what the fuck's going on?
I would assume that at that point they've just melted and they've become a
Yeah.
part of the car. That's kind of what I thought.
I don't know what I thought. I thought that he didn't know either. I thought they just fucking did something.
Emilio Estevez definitely didn't know.
Yeah, it's it could have been a cool movie. Like more, it could have been. I mean, it's really high rated on like Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't understand. It has like 98% or some bullshit. I think.
I don't think it's a 98%.
Google it real quick.
No, I mean like me personally.
Oh yeah. I don't think it's that either. I think it's like a 65%.
I'd probably get it like a 70.
I mean, I'm not gonna do a B movie scale. I think it's 65% just in general. But it
Yeah.
could have been a really cool movie if it was just about Repo Man.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
Repo Man movie, you find a dead body, it could be a crime
Mhm.
movie. That could have been really cool.
Yeah.
Or you need to lean into the sci-fi stuff heavy.
Yeah, that's what I really was expecting them to lean more into the sci-fi stuff, and they really don't. It's really a lot of it's at arm's length, which I assume is just because of the low budget and there's not much like effect-wise that they could probably do, and so
Yeah.
that probably hampered them a little bit from it. But it was just like, especially from like just reading the basic premise of like I expected just more like aliens and weird shit like that, and it's really just like more like hinted on.
Yeah, and you never see the alien.
No, I mean you get like a blurry picture at one point.
Yeah, that's really it.
You get a blurry picture. She's like, these are dead aliens, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is. That looks like
Yeah.
scribbles on a paper. Like I don't know what that is.
Well, doesn't he say these are sausages?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he says they're alien bodies. I was like, yeah, if you say so. Like crazy.
Even the relationship between the guy and the girl, Otto and the girl, don't make sense. Like none of it makes sense. Like none of it is written well. It's not written well at all. But with that being said, it's you go into it knowing, okay, this is a B movie. This is a C movie. So you go into it. You go into it with that level of expectation.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going into it thinking this is going to be like an A movie, I go, okay, this is not a good movie.
If you go into it thinking that it's going to be like a studio movie, then
yes. But knowing that it's really DIY and knowing that it's like, it's beginning for a lot of these, like for Emilio, it's a beginning movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to cut it slack. I'm going to go into it and put it on the scale of B movie, like spectrum. But with that being said, yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it for what it is. Mm-hmm. It's a brisk watch, even though it's super, super slow burn, even though it's that. So it's that weird counterbalance where it's like hour and 30 minutes, which is a brisk movie, but it's fucking slow.
Yeah, it feels like it drags on at certain points for sure, yeah.
Yeah. And you don't really he doesn't learn anything. He's become a better person.
There's not really any character development for anybody. You learn certain things about characters. Like you've got the secretary who is basically double crossing the repo firm by working with the
car thieves,
the Mexican repo guys.
Yeah. So
you kind of learn that, but there's really but you learn stuff about characters, but there's nothing that comes out of what you learn. Like you learn she's basically betraying the repo company, but nothing comes out of it. There's no conflict that arises from that. You're just oh yeah, she's working with these guys, and that's.
And it's not like he gets in the car, Otto, at the end of the movie and to fly away because he's a better person. No, he just gets in the car.
He just gets in the car, yeah.
He's like, oh, I was a shit person.
They kind of insinuation that there's something about him that draws him to it, but I don't know.
What?
Also, that weird thing where I don't know what it was. Maybe I just didn't understand it, but they have that point where it's because you have Harry Dean Stanton who was already in the car, and then you have Emilio Estevez that comes up to him, and they go to the car no problem, and then Harry Dean Stanton gets shot or whatever, and they're off to the side, and then you have the FBI people that try to go to the car. Mm-hmm. They're there's some sort of
wave force field,
and I was I just saw Harry Dean Stanton in the car. I don't understand why they can't get to it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just
that part didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, there's no point. It just whatever bullshit so he can get in the car and fly away.
Yeah.
There's no point to the movie. There's no point to the movie.
No, really. At the end of the day,
I'm sure the director and whoever will scream until they're blue in the face about the satire and the consumerism commentary, but I've seen those movies and I get it. I watch this movie and I'm I don't
get it.
I don't get what you're trying to do, bro. It's not I'm not an idiot. It's a good movie. It's a fine movie.
Yeah.
And for what it is, it's a fine movie.
Mm-hmm.
But don't tell me that you're this is a fucking Reagan. It's not that.
Look, man, don't piss on me and tell me it's raining, okay?
Yeah, exactly. What was that, Zach? Any final thoughts about Repo Man?
Not really. I mean, it's a fun watch. Yeah, it's a fun watch, but it's slower than it feels like it should be.
Yeah.
But I mean, if anybody's interested in alien movies and that kind of weird not even aliens so much, but it was that weird counterculture type of movie, I think that this would definitely be worth giving a look at. So
yeah. I agree. But if you want a sci-fi movie, don't watch this. Watch They Live.
Yeah, watch something else. Watch They Live. Watch The Thing. Watch something.
Watch something else. Don't watch this.
Yeah.
I think you would watch this movie just for the sake of having it under your.
Yeah.
To see what it is.
I watched Repo Man.
Yeah.
But...
I could have gone my whole life thinking that the movies were the same movie, and I would have been fine. I could have gone my whole life thinking that the Jude Law movie is
Jude Law and. Isn't that Forrest Whitaker?
It's Forrest Whitaker, I think.
Yeah.
I could have gone my whole life thinking that both movies were the same fucking movie, and I would have
Thinking
been
that was a remake to this movie.
yeah, and I would have been fine, and I would have been fine. Well,
Wow.
guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for
Appreciate it.
listening. We'll see you back next week with more License to View with another
Yes.
installment of our new topic for the month.
I think I want to do because it's one of the one you suggested. I want to do Last Starfighter. I actually haven't watched that, so
Last Starfighter. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. They actually just put out a. I think it
I
was
saw that. I think Arrow
Arrow.
had a
Arrow
Blu-ray.
did it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Last Starfighter is a fantastic movie,
yeah,
and I'm happy to watch it again.
yeah. I've never watched it, so I'm excited to dig into it. So
All right. Well, if you watch Last Starfighter, which we will, and
yeah,
you ever want to read Armada, which is Ernest Cline's second book, you're gonna read
yes.
Armada and go, "This is Last Starfighter."
This is
Here,
just the Last
this is
Starfighter.
Last Starfighter. So, hey guys, see you back next week with Last Starfighter.
Yes. See you guys.